What's up, everybody? So today we're back in the garage. We're working on Josh's Jeep once again. As you can see, we got Josh with us. He's got the 2015 Jeep that we worked on last time. We did the headlights as well as the winch in that video. And today, we've got more lights. So we ended up getting these from Oxytow. We've got two sets here. We got the 3.5-inch pod lights and then the 4.5-inch pod lights. We'll unbox these and show you guys these here in just a second. And then Josh, I guess you went ahead and picked up this stuff here, which these are specialty mounts specifically for the Jeep.
These are A-pillar mounts from KC, and then this is going to be a switch panel that will go on the A-pillar on your driver's side.
So these kits, I guess, they do come with switches, which you can utilize, but we're actually going to utilize this kit here, which we'll unbox it here and show you guys so you guys can see a full rundown of it, but it just makes it so it's more easily accessible and it's all kind of clean and in place. So with that being said, let's go ahead and open this up and show you guys what's inside. So as you guys can see here, we got everything unboxed. So these are our 3.5-inch pod lights and our 4.5. So we're gonna kind of compare these two to see which ones we wanna run. We did go with the amber style here. They've got both the lights that kick on and then they have like these little plus signs that'll be like kind of a DRL. They do include like the whole wiring harness and stuff here, which we got unboxed here. You got your connector ends there, your switches here, which like I said, we're actually running these switches here. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of wiring and a little bit of modifying of this, but it has the inline fuse, the relays, stuff like that. So if you want to run the kit as is, you can just basically run it, just hook it up to your powered negative here for the terminals on the battery, and then just run the switch into the chassis there, and just snake this connector here, and you would be good. In our case, like I said, we're going to be running this A-pillar mount, so it's got all these different switches and stuff here, and it comes with this sticker sheet here to label each one what each switch is. So again, it's got its power and ground, which will be running to basically the battery, and then we'll have it, well, I guess ground will be chassis ground, red will be to the ignition power. So when the key's on, it'll send power to this, and then we'll run basically one of the power wires from this, or the switch power from this, to the backside of that using one of these little terminal pieces here. That way it'll kick it on or off. We'll probably have it separate, so I think the daytime running light, just like the little plus sign here, will be on one switch, and then when you want to kick them on, will be on a separate switch. So we'll be utilizing essentially two of these. And then as far as mounting these go, again, you can use these mounts that they have here, but in our case, they make some Jeep specific ones to kind of clean it up, make it look a little bit nicer. So we went ahead, picked those up too. And then of course we got the sheathing, the splice here for the switches here, and then just some extra wire. So I think that kind of ran it through there. So let's go out to the Jeep and get this stuff all figured out. All right, so step one, we're gonna pop this cowl off here. So we got these, what is it, like 4 torque screws there?
Yep, you got 4 torque screws, couple of screws on top, and looks like you're gonna have to take your wiper arms off.
Okay, so yeah, it'll be essentially what, this back section here is what we're trying to get to?
We're taking the cowl off so you can run the wires easier for that cavity to go down into your engine bay without getting it into a pinch point. The mounts are gonna mount here.
Okay.
We'll just put like a cover here.
Okay, easy enough. So let's go ahead and pop this all off. Okay, so after looking at it, we just take out these 2 screws on each end here. This gives us enough room to kind of lift this up, as you can see there, so that we can snake our wires underneath, so we should be fine. Okay, so now we got the bracket here. On the back side of that, Josh has got that foam pad that kind of comes with it. And then we've got these 2 little nylon pieces that'll go where the screws go, just right on top. Yeah, he's got those in his hand. So we'll just feed those through, basically mount it right there up on this A-pillar section. so we just took the pod lights here, set them up just to kind of get a rough idea of which ones we like. I'm actually going to peel this off so we can get a better visual. I mean, obviously we have movement and stuff. We can still turn it and stuff to get it where we want it to be located. This is the 4.5 inch. That's what's on the Jeep currently on that side. And then on the driver's side here, we've got the 3.5 inch. Go ahead and get that one off of there. I don't know. Which one do you think is better? 4.5 or 3.5?
I don't know. The 4.5 looks pretty good.
It's pretty good sized.
We'll have to see how much of a blind spot it gives if you're sitting inside.
Yeah. I guess you want to go kind of test it out real quick just to see what it looks like on the inside there.
That's not that much of a blind spot at all.
No? You got pretty good clearance and visual there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just kind of up to you on which one you want, 3.5 or 4.5 on this one. And maybe if you guys in the comments want to throw it down too, let us know what visually you guys think looks better. But for now, we'll kind of let Josh decide and get our wiring run up and get this stuff all hooked up to actually see how it looks once it's all done. Okay, so for the time being, we decided to put on the 3.5 inch lights. For now, we will still test out the 4.5 just to kind of get a rough look, but those are relatively easy. It's just a quick little plug that you just disconnect and swap it out. And then as far as this wiring, we're gonna try to get this stuff all set up here. So basically we're gonna hook up our relays that he's got there. Then you have your 2 red and black wires for your battery posts there. And then the rest of it's just gonna get snaked into, I guess, the backside underneath the cowl, connecting the lights and then running into the cabin. Okay, so we've been snaking across these wires here. This was the main harness here for that switch. So we've got it ran through there, and then we've got this red wire here as well. That's going to that fusible link in the fuse box. So hope you guys can see down there. I don't know how easy it is for you guys to see that, but there's that grommet right there on the firewall by the booster, and we snuck that through there into the cabin. And then we got this whole mess of wire that's kind of draped across here. Like I said, it's on this whole red wire here to this fusible link. And which one did you say that one goes to, Josh?
That's going to be your M9 fuse location. So if you had, it's for your rear seat heaters. So that's again that section, which is right here.
So that goes right up top there. And
now,
we're using, was it just 20 amp fuse right there on top?
Yep, just a 20 amp fuse.
Which I think this one here is actually running a 15 on the system itself. So you got the 2 relays, and then it's got that built-in 15 amp right there with your positive and negative terminals there that'll go into the battery. So yeah, I think we need to get our A-pillar portion set up.
Yep. Get
our switches set up in there, and then try to get this buttoned up. We'll have to obviously shrink down some of our wire because we've got an excessive amount. But yeah, it's getting there. This is a little bit of a tedious process, but we'll go ahead and get that buttoned up next.
So we removed your side cowl or your side dash panel, and then your center for your steering wheel pad just pops out, pivot out, and then we'll show you a view of where they come out underneath the Jeep, which is right there on that grommet, right where that flashlight is. So we'll write those wires down through here in this location, up on this side to the switch panel, which will be right here. We'll replace this panel.
All right, so in order to remove that trim panel, we have to remove the sun visor, and then what is it, this little side piece here?
Yep, pop this out so then you can put that there. Next, there's going to be a Phillips clip
screw back there.
This one.
Oh, it's a big long Christmas tree. Okay, so now that upper pillar is out. Now we have to get that lower A pillar panel out. Easy enough. So now that's out, we can go ahead and throw that switch panel in there. Okay, so as you guys can see here, we went ahead, got our wiring all tucked up over here. As you guys saw, the red wire that was attached to that fusible link there is now up here and in this sheathing here with all of the wiring that was on that switch there for these pod lights here. And like you guys saw, we got it tucked into that grommet down there. So it's all snaked up in there. We gotta go through and so clip these zip ties. But now that we're in here, we got Josh He's checking out these wires here, but we got our setup here for our switches. So we're gonna have our power and ground that's gonna go to here, and then we're gonna have the white and the blue wire off of that switch. So the white's gonna go to one terminal on the end there, and the other is gonna go on the secondary one. So pretty much this will be for like your DRLs, and then this will be for the actual pod lights themselves. So we're gonna have two separate switches on each one just to have them all hooked up. But yeah, Josh is kind of messing with the wiring. So once we get that kind of hooked up, it's a little bit snug down here for you guys to see. Once we get it hooked up there, we'll show you more in depth what we did. So as you guys saw there, we now have everything, like I said, snaked up in here. So the red wire was coming from that fuse, and then this black was part of the factory switch that came with the Oxytow lights. So we ended up snipping that. There's 4 wires inside there: black, red, white, and blue. So the white and blue ended up being switches. So we got one white going to that terminal back there with these little connectors here, and then the blue one goes to the other one, and then our power from that switch, or from that fuse, runs up to here. We got tied in so it can be removed. You got male and female, and then the ground is coming off of that 4 set of wires there. So you had a ground that goes into that male-female connector there, and then the red, the old red positive that was off of that harness there, we just kind of tucked it in here. So now it's all put away. So I guess with that being said, do we go ahead and give it a quick test here and see if they work? So as you guys see there, the pod lights are just sitting up there. They're not aimed where we want them to be or anything, but go ahead and switch on. Yep, DRLs. Sweet. Both of those are on. And then let's go ahead and hit the, that's freaking bright, dude. That just blinded me. But yes, they are on. They're super bright. We're gonna take these out and test them once it gets darker and just actually see how they look, especially since we did the LED lights in the bulbs there in the front. It's gonna really tie in nicely with those. So yeah, looks awesome. Man, those are super bright. So I guess let's go ahead, get everything buttoned up back in here. We just gotta put in our A-pillar panel, our upper piece there, as well as our sun visor. So yeah, everything is good now. So everything is now tucked up here. Like I said, we got all the wires and stuff put up there. We'll probably go through, trim up each one of these little zip ties here. But yeah, we got power to power, negative to negative. And as you guys saw there, they worked. So looks pretty sick. We'll have to go through now and get them aligned and see how it looks once it gets a little darker out. So we're gonna try to align these here. Just right here against this tent. See, move it up and down. I think maybe adjust it out just a little bit. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but I think that looks pretty good right there. So all we gotta do now is just tighten up these screws right here. It should lock it in place. Last little touch on this thing. Yep. That's it. Now that it's dark out, let's go ahead and test out these pod lights. So first up, we'll flip these headlights on so you can see here. These are the Oxytow LEDs. So we go ahead, low beam and high beam. You can see how bright those are. Next up, let's flip over to the pod lights. And as you can see, super bright. Just lights up everything. Now obviously this is still with the headlights, and then you turn the headlights off and you can just see how insanely bright they are on their own. But yeah, next up I want to see what these DRLs look like. So again, still super bright, not nearly as bright as the full-blown pod lights, but you can still see quite a bit. And then go ahead, flip these pod lights back on,
and it's just crazy how well these things lie to the road.
So there you guys have it. We got the pod lights installed. They look great. I'm happy with the way they turned out. Super cool. I mean, it's got the DRL. They're super bright.
Super bright DRLs, yellow. What more can you ask for?
Yeah, I mean, and we ended up using, like I said, the 3.5 inches on the front. So let us know in the comments below. Should we have done the 4.5 inches? I don't know. We're kind of tossing between the two. I think the 3.5 inch looks fine for the front end. We also can contemplate the idea of possibly putting them on the roof, doing like a
Like a
full,
little roof rack with like a light bar with pods.
yeah, like do like 4, 6, or 10 or whatever they do up there, and just have a whole row. I think that'd be kind of cool. But yeah. We're gonna go ahead and end out the video here. If you guys are interested in anything that we used in today's video, I'll have it linked down in the description below. So with that being said, hope you guys liked this video. If you guys did, make sure big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.